CTV political commentator Scott Reid joining us live with his reaction. Of course, you worked in Paul Martin's office as Prime Minister. Scott, what is your reaction this morning to Trump winning? I mean, Justin Trudeau sort of seeming to say all the right things in that tweet.
Oh, that's not surprising. But look, ready yourself for profound and unpredictable change. There's going to be profound political change in the United States, profound political change all around the world. Our bilateral relationship, which is so incredibly powerful and important to us here in Canada, economically, culturally, it's about to shift in dramatic ways. People think, well, he was president before, so we kind of know what we're going to get. Check that at the door. He's going to almost certainly control both houses of Congress. He clearly has his thumb on the Supreme Court, and he is now returning to the White House triumphant and emboldened. This is a man who's going to move forward. He will listen to no one. He will be checked by no influence. And Canada is going to have to really refocus almost all of its external and foreign affairs priorities and energy around dealing with the new Trump, with Trump 2.0.
Yeah, and Scott, how do you see, a Trump presidency kind of emboldening Canadian conservatives for more extreme rhetoric? We've seen the divisiveness already starting here on our side of the border.
Well, certainly no one's going to look at this race and say to themselves, there's a penalty to be paid. I mean, you couldn't watch the last week of the campaign and conclude that he was trying to bring people together. And so in that sense, it may cause people to be more forceful in their rhetoric, less anxious about a political consequence of it. But, I think the fundamental lesson of last night, and it's, one that a lot of us tried to look around and find ways to circumnavigate, and that is change. So what's the most fundamental political implication last night? Forget about going forward. Just what do we take from the election? Well, 70% of Americans roughly said that it was time for a change, that the country was on the wrong track. We've got very big right track, wrong track numbers running in favor of wrong track here in Canada. There's a huge desire for change. So the biggest implication for conservatives in Canada is that they've got change at their back, and that should do them well in the next election, whenever it is. For Justin Trudeau, who might look at this and say, well, maybe this is an opportunity to shuffle the deck, have people take a new look. Really, the fundamental underlying trends here had to be desperately worrying. He's an incumbent leader who's unpopular and presiding over what's been a weak economic time. That's what ended Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
So whenever the next election is in Canada, clearly we don't know. We know it's going to be within the next year or so, Scott. But are you kind of saying, I just want to pick up on what you sort of said in your first answer, as much as Justin Trudeau and his cabinet, especially Chrystia Freeland, do have experience with Trump and potentially some members of his administration, is that kind of out the window now because Trump is coming back in kind of emboldened? I mean, he's already a lame duck. I mean, he can't run another term, at least currently, at this point here. So do you kind of feel like what we learned, I suppose, in the last 4 years prior to Biden is out the window for the next 4 years?
I think we're going to have to make it up from scratch. And let me just give you two scenarios or two examples. So first of all, what is the Prime Minister of Canada to do when a emboldened Trump makes good on his commitment to withdraw military power from Ukraine and abandon them to Russia? That's probably going to happen very early after Trump is sworn into office. Does the leader of Canada, a G7 leader, a member of NATO, stand up and denounce this as the wrong thing to do? Well, he's going to have people telling him. He's going to have foreign policy advisors say, for Pete's sake, don't do that. You don't want to unleash the vindictiveness of Trump when we have these trade talks. So that is a new factor. That is a fundamentally different factor. The strength of Trump in the situation that he's in now, the sense that he's emboldened and he will listen to nothing, it's going to have a silencing and distorting effect on trade relations, on geopolitical conversations. And then our strategy in terms of managing, trade negotiations, the renegotiation of CUSA. I mean, that's all based around surrounding him with people who will have countervailing influence, Republican governors and senators. None of those people are going to stand up to him. None of those people are going to speak to him. He's incredibly powerful. He reigns over all of the Republican and American political establishment. None of that surround strategy is going to work now. We're going to have to figure out a brand new plan.
Okay, CTV's political commentator Scott Reid joining us live this morning post-U.S. Election Day on Trump's victory. Thank you so much.